Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what we believe is the 27th edition of the Search Summit, with a little bit of change, which I'm going to explain in a second. My name is Steve Smith. I'm the Editorial Director of Events here at MediaPost. I'm your programmer. I'll be your MC over the next few days. You'll be tired of me by the end. We started this event, as Ken mentioned, 14 years ago. And at the time, Search was the only serious digital game in town in many respects, if you remember farther back. It was the first of the real programmatic and automated attempts at online advertising. It also was its accountability, its measurability, really attracted media budgets that still were incredibly shy about coming online and all the other formats. If you go back and you look at the share of money that was going to search at the time, it overwhelmed everything by a wide margin. And among all of our events, the Search Insider Summit was known to be where the big dogs of digital came. In fact, there was a bit of a swagger. This event had a bit of a reputation for having the big dogs who had the big budget and who didn't suffer fools gladly, in fact. And some of that old swagger, to some degree, has waned a little bit, to be honest. We've seen other channels come in, being able to make good on some of the claims that Search once had exclusive ownership of. We've seen now, especially programmatic display and video, as well as social and mobile, take on some of Search's exclusive claims to things like accountability, to automation, to ease of use, to measurability. And in some ways, Search has become a little old hat, even if it has become still indispensable to almost every marketing plan. And yet the numbers still show how dominant Search is as a part of the media mix. If we look at eMarketer's estimates for this coming year, they will say that we're now at the point where digital has finally overtaken traditional media forms. Spend last year was estimated at about $111 billion for digital. And of that, almost half was still in search. And it was being driven. We're still seeing double-digit growth in search after all of these years. A lot of it now being driven by local coming online and also mobile and the importance of location in search mechanisms. So the most basic intent signal is still robust. It's still at the center of things. But what has changed is all of these other data channels, all of these other data-driven channels that have gained similar sophistication. So now we see, after years of promise, that programmatic display and video really is starting to show the kind of precision and tracking as search. It always said it would get there, and in some measure it has. And we really are starting to see a cluster of performance marketing channels. They're starting to work with search in order to drive performance conversions, to close the loop on the sale and conversion. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And of course, we have social media, which is almost infamous now in its targetability. So in many ways, other channels were getting very good at gleaning intent in a lot of different ways. They were really starting to rob some of the shine from search. And after years as its own fiefdom, search really started integrating more, and we really started seeing search integrating both data on the front end, but also on the back end. A lot of its insights could help drive a lot of these other channels. And so the Search Insider Summit has evolved this time into the Search and Performance Insider Summit. And we're trying here to capture some of that change, the ways in which search, both as a medium, is being integrated with a larger marketing plan, no longer siloed at all, but also on the back end, a lot of the data that comes from search is driving a lot of these other media and still driving us towards a more performance-oriented approach. So today, and in fact, by the way, there's a little bit of news this morning that kind of followed, we didn't know this was going to happen until late last night. Microsoft just announced a rebranding of Bing. it is now going to be known as Microsoft Advertising. And in fact, in their rationale for that, this was the very rationale that they used, that they wanted to come to market being seen as more than search, but search integrated with all of the other ad products and all of the other marketing channels that they offered. So what we're going to be doing over the next few days is try to look at this integration. Today we're going to look at one brand's approach to holistic search, what it calls holistic search, how it defines it, and how it's looking at the future of search integrated into the larger mix. But we're also going to be looking at that media mix, the ways in which search is being blended in with performance advertising, and we're also going to look at the direct-to-consumer channel, which has made loads of waves over the last couple of years in the ways in which it's integrating data across all of its channels, and look a little bit about the ways in which they're doing it. Tomorrow we're going to engage some of those news channels, especially the retail channel and Amazon, and the ways in which new kinds of inventory are coming online and new kinds of search are coming online and the way they're being used. But we're also going to be looking at the tech stack and how that's been evolving with these changes. And we're going to have an additional presentation that just came on at the last minute on attribution. And then on the third day, we're going to look at several cases. We're going to hear from Homes.com, from TE Connectivity, and Strategic Education, and look in greater detail at the ways in which they're leveraging some of these channels. A little word about the summit. How many of you are first-timers to an Insider Summit? We have a fair number of returnees. But those of you who are new, welcome. A few ground rules about how these summits work. Everything on stage is on the record, live streamed over MediaPost.com. So if you have colleagues back at the home office, ping them. They can come and tune in. So it's on the record. We blog it. We report on it. We'll have video highlights that we'll be sending out afterwards. But then at noon, everything comes off stage and goes off the record. And that's where we have our roundtable discussions. I can't emphasize enough how much the roundtables are really the core of this summit. As much as we take pride in the kind of formal content we put on stage, I regard that really as just the hub, the seed that really comes to life in the roundtables. It's when you take this content and turn it into conversations that it really comes to life at these summits. My advice to everyone is, at noon, don't run out, get on your cell phone, try to do a quick phone appointment. It really is worthwhile to spend the next 45 minutes in these roundtables. You'll get a lot out of it, and it will also seed the rest of the day. That's a format that we've been doing here for 14 years, and believe me, it works. So welcome to all of you, and we're going to start out with